Good morning everyone, my name is Michelle, I hope you're doing well. Welcome to another video. This is Tuesday morning, the 2nd of September. And we're going back to Nova Scotia in Canada today to the case of the missing siblings 6-year-old Lily and 4-year-old Jack Sullivan from Lansdowne Station. And this is an immediate follow-on from yesterday's video. For those that didn't see it, it's right here. I'll give you permission to click out of this video and go and watch that first if you would like to. You don't have to, but if you want the backstory, then you could do that and then come back to this video. It's up to you. It's entirely your call. But in yesterday's video, we talked about two particular issues that different YouTubers have brought up. Mike MX1 and Into the Fog, who both talked around what if Lily and Jack ran away. Maybe they were scared of Daniel. Maybe they were told to go out or else he's going to brain them or something. And or they went out because they were scared or because they just wanted to go and play out and have an adventure like Dora the Explorer. And then they were scared because they heard Daniel shouting and thought he was going to be mad. And they stayed hidden. And they got even more scared when they heard the police and the helicopters nearby shouting them. They thought that they were in trouble. These are very good suggestions. Could well have happened. We know that time and time again, children, especially young children, won't make themselves known when they're being looked for. You normally think that someone who is lost or injured and they hear a rescue party nearby, they make themselves known. They assist in their own rescue, but not so much little kids with autism. Also, we have this problem with, that they don't make themselves known because they're scared. They think they're in trouble. So, very, very good suggestion. However, there's one issue that creates a problem for any theory at all that suggests Lily and Jack walked off into the woods of their own volition or walked down the road of their own volition, whether it's because they were scared or they were on an adventure or something else. They wanted to go to school, they thought they could walk to school or something like that. That's something that I talked about earlier on in the case. But any reason why they might have gone out on their own. And you are absolutely right, Boozwalia. The dogs didn't pick up any scent. That's the biggest problem for the Lily and Jack are in the woods theory. Or down the road theory. Let's talk about it. Before we get into the video, can I please ask, if you're not yet subscribed, please do so. I'm trying to get to 100,000 subscribers by the end of this year. I've got 4 months left. I think I can do it with your help. I want to get to 100,000 subscribers because when I do, YouTube will send me a silver play button plaque to put on my wall. Help me get it in time for Christmas. Alright, the dogs did not pick up any scent. Now that's not quite true. For those who've been following this case very closely, you will know that it came out within the first few days that the dog did get a scent of Lily and Jack, or Lily or Jack. I assume that they were given scent articles from both children going down the driveway. Now, I said from the jump that I'm not impressed when a dog tracks a kid or missing person from the place that they were last known to be off their own property, because the scent is going to be all over that property. And we know that Lily and Jack walked down that driveway almost on a daily basis when school was in to catch the bus at the end of the driveway. The bus stopped for them at the end of the driveway. Now, we do know that they weren't in school on the Wednesday because no one was. I don't know, teacher training or something else. And then Thursday and Friday, Malaya, their mother, called them in sick. Supposedly Lily had a cough. I think is because Lily got a black eye on the Wednesday, as stated by Daniel Martel, their stepfather. And as they'd had CPS calls before regarding Jack's numerous black eyes, I don't think they wanted the scrutiny. However, they were not in school Thursday and Friday, so there wouldn't have been any scent laid down since Tuesday if we're going from the scent is there because they walked down the driveway. But there will be residual scent because if they walk down that track often, then there's going to be scent particles. It's a hard surface. It's not like mud or grass where scent can bed in. That's the best scenario, is that kind of ground where scent can really bed in. But it is possible. Residual scent has pooled there and it's several days old. And in the absence of any other scent, then that will be the strong scent. What a search dog is looking for, or searching for, I say looking for because obviously in humans, if you're sighted, sight is your number one dominant sense. And in dogs, it's not. It's smell. So dogs go smell, hearing, sight. We go sight, hearing, smell. And our sense of smell is rubbish, absolutely rubbish, compared to dogs. I've talked a lot about search dogs and scent dogs, cadaver dogs on this channel because dogs are a particular interest of mine. It's difficult to fool a dog. It's possible to fool a dog, but two little kids that supposedly were playing in the backyard and supposedly playing the backyard a lot, you would expect, as well as the residual scent on the driveway, there to be residual scent in the yard as well. But there was no tracks, there was nothing. They didn't get a scent of Lilly and Jack anywhere apart from down the driveway. And that really concerns me. Does it mean that Lilly and Jack weren't out playing that morning and they didn't wander off into the woods? Yeah, it could well mean that. It could well mean that. It's the biggest problem for that theory. This is why I believe in the Summer Wells and the Sebastian Rogers case, both from Tennessee, that they did walk away from their respective properties. For what reason? Don't know. Summer disappeared June 15th, 2021, over 4 years ago now, at the age of 5, and I think she just went playing. I think she wandered away, and I do think Summer was abducted. I do. I think someone was abducted. The reason why I'm reasonably confident saying this is because of all the scent alerts that we've talked about. Now, Sheriff Ronnie Lawson said that they tracked Summer's scent. It was either down the driveway or down the dog trail. It depends on who he's talked to. Dave Rader from EquiSearch said down the driveway. Don, Summer's dad, said down the dog trail. It doesn't matter. They both end up in the same place. It's a few yards away from each other on Ben Hill Road, and then dogs lost the scent. Sheriff Ronnie Lawson explained that to be not necessarily that she was, put into a car on Ben Hill Road and then disappeared. The dogs could have lost the scent on the road because it's changing surface from a natural to an artificial surface. Paved surfaces, tarmac, concrete, they're notoriously bad for dogs to find a track on. If a dog's doing a track in a city or a built-up area, you're going to lose scent very, very quickly. But in a situation like Summer's, where you're going from a natural surface to an artificial one, that scent very much weakens. After the first few hours, very much weakens, and it confuses the dog. It doesn't mean to say there's no scent left, but it confuses the dog, and the dog will look like they've lost the scent, when actually the scent's still there. They're just confused because it's so much weaker. Because a dog's natural instinct, what you're doing when you're training a dog to track or trail a scent, you're tapping into that natural instinct where they're going out looking for food. And they get a scent, and that scent gets stronger and stronger as they get closer to that prey animal. But when a scent gets weaker, it doesn't make sense to a dog, but we can't communicate with them to say, is the scent still there, but just weaker? And the dog can say, yeah, there's still some scent, however, it's weaker and I'm confused. And you say, oh, well, just carry on and see where it takes us. We can't do that with a dog. We can't. But there were scent alerts, according to neighbours, in different locations. The footprints that we've talked about a lot on this channel. Go back and go through my Summer Wells playlist if you want to hear about the footprints in the Summer Wells case. And Fred Hill, the neighbour, said they were scent on his driveway. So there was scent out there that you wouldn't expect to be there. You'd expect there to be some scent going off the property from somewhere, but not in areas away from the property. But yet there are these scent alerts. The Sebastian Rogers case. I'm firmly convinced that Sebastian walked away from his house of his own volition. I talked about this just the other day in this video, but I've talked about that a lot. Sebastian was reported missing in the early morning about 6:30 of the 26th of February 2024, so it's just gone 18 months that Sebastian has been missing. And we know from various sources that dogs did get a scent. Now, law enforcement and Ken Widener from Sumner County EMA has confused matters, because they said initially that they got tracks, and then they said none of them led to Sebastian, and then Ken Widener came out and said that they didn't get any tracks. Well, they did. They just didn't get tracks that they can absolutely 100% confirm were Sebastian, because they didn't find him or any evidence of him, like a shoe or t-shirt or something that belonged to Sebastian. So they don't know, but you can assume if a dog is tracking and it's scent specific, if it gets a track, it's Sebastian. We know that Max, the first responding dog from Sumner County Sheriff's Office, wasn't scent specific, but he led his handler across the construction site and dove right into the retention pond, in his handler's own words. Now, was that Sebastian's scent? We could assume it was, because who else would have been out there that morning? But as the construction site wasn't shut down, who knows? But this bloodhound, this footage was released from the private investigator, Steve Fisher. SF Investigates on Twitter. Go and check him out, because he does tons of cases. A bloodhound clearly sniffs around and then goes off at a trot, clearly on a trail there. That's in exactly the same spot that 8 hours previous there was a shadowy figure that could well have been Sebastian. So whatever happened to Sebastian, I believe, happened after he left his house of his own volition. So, back to Lilly and Jack. Why is there no scent? Why? Now, could it be it's because Lilly and Jack never went out, and that's just all a complete lie from Daniel Malaya and Journey? It's absolutely all a complete lie. Could well be. But there's other reasons why dogs don't get scents. There's other reasons. It could be dogs aren't well trained. Well, we know there was at least 2 dogs out there, a German Shepherd and a Labrador. Photos, you can see them with the search teams. They don't know how many dogs, how many teams were out there. Is it lack of training? It could be that the scent article they gave the dog wasn't strong enough, and the dog didn't know exactly what scent it was meant to be following. Could be that. It could be handler error. But when you've got multiple dogs and multiple handlers, they can't all be bad, can they? You know, you might get a dog who's having an off day, doesn't feel well. You know, dogs get headaches, dogs get ill, and you don't necessarily know they're ill. They just have an off day. Absolutely. You get handler error. But every single dog having an off day and every single handler was rubbish. When you've got multiple dog teams out there, you kind of think, well, one might not get a scent for any of those reasons, but all of them. There wasn't even any scent where the blanket was found. The blanket that is supposedly Lily's. Why is there no scent? That is the biggest problem. And I'd love to know from the search teams, the dog handlers who were out there, I'd love to see body cam footage. If there was cops with body cam out there, if there's camera footage of a dog tracking, I'd love to see it. I'd love to see that dog, or dogs in the plural, behaviour around that area. I'd love to know what the handlers think and the handlers saw when they were out there with the dogs. I doubt we'll ever get to find that out. All we know for now is that there was no scent, and that is the biggest problem in this case. Why was there no scent of Lilly or Jack in the very place where they'd just been? It wasn't like it was days later. You know, they'd been missing for days. And then the dogs went out. Well, the tracks just naturally dissipate. But the dogs were out there within hours of them going missing. And this was natural surface. This is woodland. You would expect there to be scent. And we're told that there wasn't any. Massive, massive red flag. But let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys. Find the phone. Find the phone. Find the phone. There he is. Go girl.